Hi, this is Sujit Paul here, the author and founder of SujitPaul.com. We have been coaching for over a decade now, and there's a platform where many of you send emails to us and we respond back, or now there's WhatsApp chats and the team responds back and similar. Over the last few weeks, mail inflows have definitely increased because of multiple sessions that we have been doing across the world. Now, there is one common thing that was coming as a question is, how do you handle scenarios or societies or cultures where you have people who do not respect the other sex, the other part of the strata? So primarily the question converges into scenarios which we were getting from different kind of nations where it asks, how do we work on our entire equilibrium of a country with the government if it have to be looked into that women are being taken care of well and they are not really being used seen only as a commodity. Now, as a matter of fact, I think this is one point that we see all across. It cuts through many societal moves, cultures and countries, where you will see even in various countries which have not grown to that level, we have seen that when men are going on the streets or when women are going, there is ogling that is there. So when you see ogling being done by men, so we have to work from the very small young days of when they were boys and small kids to work on their psychology. Now, when you don't work as a government into those areas, that when they were small boys, they were young boys, and you have not really worked on their brain, so that becomes part of the ongoing generation after generation. Now, when these kind of programs are taken in the schools, then the schools make them understand that how it is important that both the genders are actually equal. Now, unfortunately, there are not too many countries who works on these kind of platform, and hence the outcome is what you see, whether it is domestic violence, whether it is terrible amount of scenarios where women are deprived, where women are being beaten, they are raped, they are put on fire, they are abused, and they are used as commodities because you have not and never nurtured that seed at the onset. So if you don't nurture that seed at the onset, how can you imagine that suddenly once that boy goes up to a man and then you work on something, it changes? It doesn't work so easily like that. So because a man need to understand, even when we do a education program at age level, a man need to understand that a woman cannot be a commodity. Even if that woman is in the home, if the woman have got married and come to the man's home in some of the countries, they cannot be treated as an object. Unfortunately, even when you go in the streets, you find that women are perceived in many situations, asterisks, there can be differences, as objects, where men have at times, within brackets, specific men have at times an inclination to have the eyes on specific areas, where men need to understand that the body is just made with blood and flesh. Whichever area you see, there's nothing different in that. It means the moment you open up, you will see that it's all the tissues and tendons and the blood and the flesh. So rather than getting into a clear thought of understanding, people dwell into scenarios of different kind of thought processes that churns out the mind, and that again goes back to the childhood. Now, I am not against, or I'm not trying to preach here a saintly podcast where I say that men and women should not have sex, etc., etc. This session is not for that. Of course, men and women can have whatever they feel appropriate within the desired consent of two matured adults. I repeat, women and men can do whatever they feel appropriate within the desired consent of two matured adults. Then there is no problem on that. The problem lies when there is not a consent, even at the domestic level, even at your house level. The problem happens when there is not a consent. So if two people are willing, whether you are socially married or socially not married, that depends up to you. But the point is that even if people are socially married, there is so much amount of force exertion that comes whenever we do counseling. We find it is worse than people who are not socially married. So only thing is that from the outside world people cannot see it. Now that's not what it's about. The whole epitome of the thing stands that men and women need to understand each other well, and men and women both have to be well educated when they are small boys and girls. Now there is where governments need to work on the education system. This will take a long time to rectify because whatever is there. But once governments takes that kind of initiation to rectify, we will see less of home violence. We'll see less of domestic calamities. We'll see less of usage of power of a man onto a woman at the home. Because whenever we do consulting and find that a lady is beaten in the home consistently, she can talk out over years and years and years together, has been physically abused, drastically tortured, and in the outside world no one knows about it. Now it can only and only happen through a consistent exercise of education and learning. Whenever we coach, we find it does tapers down to an extent whenever we mentor and counsel, and at times it comes back again, and then again it tapers back, it comes back unless there is a consistent counseling. But the way this whole thing can be eradicated or reduced drastically is that if we can make it a very, very strong school curriculum, right from the Montessori's and KGs and 1s and 2s, consistently, there should be a subject. And I appeal to the Ministry of Education that they must think in this direction. That would not only help many, but that would yield a much joyful community, society in totality ahead. Thank you so much.